And we move into Division 2, and well, we said it 3 weeks ago that it was one of the greatest comebacks we'd probably ever seen in the Northern Football League and back into the former Diamond Valley Football League. But Whittlesea's managed to do the great escape again at the weekend, trailed North Heidelberg by 68 points at half-time, led for all of 3 seconds, but led at the right time of the game and got a 1-point win over the Doggies. It's amazing how well Whittlesea's finishing these games, particularly when they're in just about unwinnable positions.
Yeah, it's quite extraordinary, but also what we spoke about, it's amazing how the position they get themselves into before they actually decide, to really, move it up. Like to be down by, 12 goals, it's quite alarming as well, I think.
It has to raise concern for the coaching staff, no doubt, and it gives other sides, I guess, an opportunity when they're playing Whittlesea to think they're in the game going into it, because they are really becoming known for their slow starts. That second quarter at the weekend, 10 goals to zip North Heidelberg's way. So as good as that win is to come from that far down, and full credit, there's not many sides, if any sides, other than Whittlesea that could come back from a deficit like that. But still, as you say, to get into that position in the first place has to raise some doubts for the coaching staff, and certainly something they want to rectify leading into September. And they're going to get a massive test again this weekend, it has to be said. They are playing Diamond Creek. It is at Coventry Oval. It's first, taking on second. The Eagles are in first place, but the winner of this will be first after 10 rounds of footy. The Eagles can create a 2-game buffer atop the ladder. Otherwise, Diamond Creek, you think, would take it on percentage. So a massive game. Diamond Creek just doing what they had to at the weekend with a 50-point win over the South Morang Football Club.
Yeah, that's right. I remember the last time you had gone to see the Diamond Creek Whittlesea game. It was a massive win to Whittlesea in the end there, so it should be interesting to see how Diamond Creek handle it this time. But with their slow start, Whittlesea, maybe, like you said, could make it pretty interesting for Diamond Creek to stay in the game early.
Well, neither side has lost since that day, so both coming in with really good form. I mean, between them, they've only lost the 3 games all year, and Diamond Creek was disappointing that day. It had to be said, 34-point loss to them was flattering, because they weren't in the contest at any stage of the game, got off to a slow start and never really threatened throughout the afternoon. So for them, the big forwards of Simpson and Guttison are going to have to fire this weekend. Obviously, Chris Horman back into Whittlesea side and named in the best in his first game back, so it's a good return for him and also for the football club. It just shores up that back line. Harrison's been playing down back of late and has really changed up their forward structure. As good as that forward line had been, they'd requiring these other players in other positions, but Horman coming in back into the side just strengthens up that spine. I still think Whittlesea will win this game here. I think their best football is better than any other team in the comp, but I guess the flip side to that is their worst is a lot worse than what we're seeing from Diamond Creek this year. So it's almost Jekyll and Hyde with them at the moment. It's going to be interesting, I think, to say the least, but I'm going to stick with the Eagles in that one there. Hurstbridge takes on North Heidelberg, and another big test for Hurstbridge, because they've had a good win at the weekend again, it has to be said. A really comfortable win over Layla, and what we said was a danger game. Keeps their finals hopes intact, but they haven't really performed that well against the top 4 sides to this stage of the year, and this is another great opportunity. Having said that, North Heidelberg, they're going to be hungry after coughing up that massive lead against Whittlesea at half-time.
Yeah, well, I think probably shades of last year's grand final against Epping. Sorry to bring that up, but that's just the reality to it. So it was another disappointing loss to North Heidelberg. As for Hurstbridge, they had a great win over Laylaw, but the thing I'm really concerned about is they seem to always have big losses against North Heidelberg, and I'm guessing it's going to happen again this Saturday.
It really is a test now to really show how far they've improved, isn't it? They've had some big losses to the Doggies in the past, probably 18 months, and a chance now to almost get one back. At the weekend, they kicked 14 goals, and 11 of those were shared by the forwards, Brett Woodhouse and Daniel Francis. So their good forwards are in good form in front of the big sticks. Harvey kicked 6 at the weekend, also Lee Gilbert with 4. So they're, I guess, the usuals. Harvey's gone to the top of the coaches' Player of the Year voting. So we know what we're going to get from those players. The stars, or in particular Harvey, an absolute star of the competition, not just in Division 2, but in all 3 grades. And you'd expect North Heidelberg to bounce back from that, but an opportunity missed. And if they were to slip up this weekend, well, they're right back with that pack chasing for that 4th spot, aren't they? So it's a massive game for the Doggies as well, despite being fancy to win it. Mernda takes on the Layla Football Club, and both sides coming in off losses. You saw Mernda at the weekend, competitive against the Fitzroy Stars, but ultimately fell away at the end of the day. And it's the second pretty comfortable loss they've had to the Stars so far, which is disappointing given that they're really fighting for that 4th place on the ladder, but they can't match it with Fitzroy at this stage of the year. Layla will only kick 4 goals at the weekend, only 1 to 3/4 time, only had the 2 goal kicks, so probably struggling to find an avenue to goal. And Mernda beat them in round 1. I think Mernda's improved since then, and if anything, Layla they're on that same level, aren't they? They haven't gone really taken that next step forward. So you'd think that Mernda at home would be the major fancy here.
Yeah, that's right. Remembering round one, they defeated Lalor by 25 points, so it was certainly a big win there. Great win there, the Mernda. It was a disappointing loss against Fitzroy Stars. They had their chances. They levelled the scores midway through the third quarter, and then Fitzroy Stars. A lot of turnovers as well, I thought I'd mention with Mernda. They had their chances. Even in the last quarter, shot a goal missing. Could have got within 14 points, but in the end, they got blown away. That's for Lalor's a really disappointing loss, considering how they've played against like your North Heidelbergs, how they played against Diamond Creek up to three-quarter time. They had a big chance, and they really blew it to a really disappointing loss. So I'll be going with the Mernda this Saturday.
And the final game in Division 2 is South Morang taking on the Fitzroy Stars. South Morang at the weekend, the final margin probably doesn't do them any justice. 51 points. At half time, they were within a couple of goals. Same at three-quarter time, 5 goals of difference, and they restricted Diamond Creek to just the 8 goals. I know they weren't kicking much themselves, but it was a good display, and probably the 50 points, as I said, isn't fair to the effort that they really put in on the day. They take on the Star side, which is playing some really good football, has bounced back since that shocking last quarter against Whittlesea and has moved into third place, a chance to move equal second if North Heidelberg, if Diamond Creek goes down at the weekend. So plenty at stake for them. They're still well and truly in the hunt for a double chance in the finals. South Morang was really good against the Stars earlier in the year. I think at half time it was less than a goal in the game, and probably was only the last quarter that really let them down. So they've had some decent form against the Stars, but with so much at stake for Fitzroy, I think they're going to be far too strong in this one here.
Yeah, having watched them last Saturday, I can just call them really slick players. Like they made Mernda pay every time the ball was turned over. They went back, just their direction, kicking the goals. They were fantastic. As for South Morang, of course, should be an interesting battle for them. But I'm certainly going to be going with Fitzroy Stars. I think a lot at stake, and I think Fitzroy Stars should bring it home.
It was, of course, the Fitzroy Stars return to Sir Douglas Nicholls, so it went off. It was a magnificent day for the club, and obviously to finish it with a win as well was something that was great for the football club. One player to probably mention is Caelan Brown, who's just about been the Stars' best in every game over the past month. So he's playing some really good football, and I think a player that South Morang is going to have to lock down on. He's getting plenty of football in the middle of the ground. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we'll look at Division 3, where the top two sides have opened up a bit of a gap at the top of the table. And also that battle for third and fourth is still heating right up. So we're going to go to a quick break. We'll come back with all the action in Division 3. And moving into Division 3, where probably the big winner at the weekend was the Panton Hill Football Club. They had that crunch win against Watsonia, a low-scoring game, but they always seem to be in control of that one. So remaining in first place, and also Thomastown, a really crucial match against St Mary's. They won a close one. It was the inaugural Paul Hopper Cup, and that 4-point win, it just means that they're looking more and more likely of cementing that place inside the top two as we move into the back half of the year. But certainly the two top teams, their wins at the weekend, really important against good opposition.
Yeah, it was an important win for Panton Hill over Watsonia. Also, St Mary's, as you'd mentioned, they've lost now, I think, about 3 games, close battles, but in the end, they're all comes as losses. So it's going to be quite crucial. Are they finished for this season? It's still early days. It's going to be a tough run for them, though. And
Reservoir, the other winner at the weekend, a competitive game against the Heidelberg West Football Club. Heidelberg West, over the past 2 years, always seem to do quite well against Reservoir, but Reservoir doing enough, getting the win, and now, of course, having the bye as well, a chance to recharge the batteries and really have a good assault at finals football. They're just struggling at the moment. So I don't know which Reservoir is going to come out each week, but a win on the weekend and they go into the bye with winning form. The first game for us to take a look at this weekend is, well, it's a massive game, isn't it? It's Thomastown taking on Watsonia. For Watsonia, they've been the most improved side of the competition, bar none. There's no doubt about that. But if they win this one, they're well in contention for top 2. I reckon if they drop it, they're going to have to settle for 3rd or 4th going into the final series. It's a crucial game. Lockie Dornoff went off in the 4th quarter and didn't reappear, so his fitness may be under a cloud. The final scoreline against Panton Hill, 19 points, or 21 points in fact, but I know the result didn't go their way, but it shows just how far they've come, given that in round 3 they were touched up by 11 goals, and it just shows that they really are bridging the gap between the best sides in the comp. As I said, Thomastown, it was a must-win game against St Mary's. They got the win, trailed at every break except for the last, and came from behind to win it, so a gutsy win to them.
Yeah, it was a great win, and they got in front when it mattered. As for Watsonia, of course, last time they played against Thomastown, it was a 28-point win to Watsonia, so should be an interesting one. You mentioned Lockie Dornoff, but if he plays or not. I think I'm going to probably have to still go with Thomastown on this one, but I think it's going to be a quite even battle.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Thomastown as well. Different grounds that they all play on, of course, but at Main Street Reserve, a smaller ground, whereas Watsonia probably prefer the open expanses of AK Lions Reserve. It has to be said that ground is in pretty heavy conditions at the moment, so you can't get a real running game going. But on Thomastown, I reckon they're going to really set themselves for this game here. I spoke to Steve Kristevsky a couple of weeks back after the Parkside game, and he said that Watsonia was the best team they played bar none in the opening part of the draw, and they really owed them one. They were beaten in every quarter in that loss earlier in the year, and that was the win that really, where Watsonia really, I guess, stamped themselves in the competition. I think Thomastown would think that they owe them one back. It was the last loss they've had. Actually, they've lost the Reservoir as well since, but they've played some pretty good football since losing that game. 3 wins on the trot now, of course. That Panton Hill win followed up by a massive win over Parkside, and now they're playing some really good footy, but that win against St Mary's really sets up their top 2 hopes, and they're playing some good football as we start to get closer and closer to September. Parkside and St Mary's is the second game for us to take a look at, and for St Mary's, well, realistically now they're going to have to win at least 6 of their final 7 games to play finals football. I think Parkside finals are probably well out of their reach now, but they'll see this as being a winnable game after a really disappointing previous 2 matches where they've been tailed up by good opposition.
Yeah, remembering Parkside, though the last time they played against St Mary's, they got up, St Mary's won, I believe, by 14 points. But normally it's had a bit of a wood over St Mary's. I'm probably going to have to go with St Mary's on this one, but Parkside, hopefully, after the big dropping a couple of weeks back, they'll hopefully bounce back.
Yeah, they won the 2 or 3 games against St Mary's last year and led for a while in the one earlier in the year in round 4. It was St Mary's first win of the year. They had to have a big final quarter to get that one there, and they did that. Miles Golden kicked 5 in the week, and we mentioned earlier in the year that goal kicking was St Mary's major concern. They've rectified that of late, but with these close results now at home, that they haven't just been able to get the points. They've played well. Just lost to Reservoir a couple of weeks back. Now just lost to Thomastown, and you think, I know there's still a lot of season to be played out, but it might well cost them as we get to the finals time of the year, those close losses. So a must-win game for St Mary's and for Parkside, a chance to pick up what would be their 3rd win of the year, the final game of the round. Well, it pits first against last. It's Panton Hill taking on Heidelberg West. A betting man would take Panton Hill any day of the week, but Heidelberg West is playing decent football through the middle part of the year. They were really close against Reservoir at the weekend, trailed by 3 goals at 3/4 time. Final margin was 25 points, but they're certainly starting to play some better football. And I mean, here they have to. I mean, you'd have to think that they'd look to be competitive. It's going to be pretty tough against good opposition. Panton Hill playing some really good football here in Division 3.
Yeah, Panton Hill, hitting some great form at the moment. They wouldn't let their guard down because they did that back in round 1, and Parkside got the 4 points there. So, but as for Heidelberg West, they are being quite competitive. They just need to really stick it out for the 4 quarters, and I think if they can get a jump on Panton Hill, or at least stay with them for the 3 quarters, there'll be a huge chance. But I'll be going with Panton Hill for that one.
Aidan Young is one Heidelberg West footballer who's having a great year. You'd have to think he's probably leading their best and fairest at this stage. So he had another great game, was their best against Reservoir, picked up the 3 coaches' votes. Also for Watsonia, they kicked 9 goals at the weekend. Brendan O'Connor kicked 4 of those, so he's in good form in front of the big sticks. And a shout out also to Ben Strongman, who played his 150th game for Panton Hill at the weekend. So a great effort by him. You'd have to think Panton Hill would be far too strong in that encounter. That's all we have time for. We thank you for watching the show this evening. Of course, you can get out to all your local grounds on Saturday afternoon. Big games in every division. Of course, if you can't get there, we have the live scoring app. You just go to the website, hit the fixtures results page, hit results on any of the competitions, and the live scores are there. Of course, all the match replays are available on the Monday morning. We thank you for your time, and we will see you again next weekend. We look forward to a massive weekend here in the Northern Football League.